everybody, and welcome to episode 70 of Highwind Herald. I'm Wolfkins, and I've got Soloist with me, man. How you doing?
Hello, how you doing?
Doing okay. You missed you missed the big episode last week of my 10 minutes of just talking to myself. But you're back now.
Yeah, here I am. I don't
It was
remember.
sad because oh, sorry, go ahead.
I don't remember why I had to miss, but I had to miss for something.
I think you had a ball game or something. I don't know.
Hmm.
Anyway, it was, I've had this question, so I've been waiting to ask it to you, but here we go. Are you ready?
Sure thing. Let's do it.
In Final Fantasy VII, what is the name of Red 13's Ultimate Limit Break?
I don't know. I never
Oh,
got it.
come on. You never got Red 13's Ultimate Limit Break?
I think I got anybody's.
Really?
Yeah, I just played the game. I don't know. I know Omni Slash.
Okay. Well, that's
it.
why I didn't ask Clouds. I figured you'd know that one.
I don't know anybody's.
It is Cosmo Memory.
Yeah,
that is the name of it.
I might have been able to get there through asking questions, but I didn't know that.
Wow. I didn't think that was that hard. You actually obtain the item when you unlock Vincent, when you do the safe and fight the weird two split thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Uh-huh.
The two-face thing, that's where you get it. So you get it.
It probably shouldn't
early.
have been so hard. I didn't do it.
Anyway, man, what's up? How have you been? It's been a little bit. Anything new going on with you? I know you had that subathon. How did that go?
Really good. I've just been relaxing since then. I was live for
Nice.
50 hours, so
50 hours?
yeah.
How many subs did you end up getting then?
36, I think. And it shouldn't have been that long, but it was 1 a.m. and I got donated enough to have to go another 4 hours, and I begged the chat to let me freeze the timer and then just finish it out in the morning because I was too
1
tired.
a.m. So how long did you go straight?
I just lived a normal day. I went to sleep and I was tired and left the stream on all night. And see, that's the thing. A lot of
stream was on.
I played videos on YouTube and had a picture of a sleeping bear. Because I didn't want to see a lot of people. When I said subathon, it showed me a lot of people don't know what an actual subathon is because they thought that I would be awake the whole time. And a subathon is literally just like being there the whole time.
No.
Like,
yeah, I thought you were gonna try to do like at least 24 hours no sleep, and I was like, dude.
No, there's some people who did like a whole month. One person's on like, she's held the world record. She's on like her 270 somethingth day.
Wow,
it's ridiculous.
That's
not turning off stream. That's all it was. It never was intended to be a full no sleep. So
gotcha.
Well,
I did pop in for a little bit. I just lurked. I didn't say anything, but I watched you guys play a little Among Us.
That's super
and
fun.
I watched you murder somebody. So I guess you were the traitor or something.
The imposter.
I guess you won that one because you seemed really happy, but I was a little confused about what was going on.
Oh, I probably was. It was fun. I was really tired.
Yeah. And I remember you being like, "Oh, this dude! It's got to be this dude." I'm sitting there like, "I just saw you kill someone. It's not that dude."
That's what's so fun about that game. It's mental gymnastics.
Well, you were very convincing.
No friends.
I will say you were very convincing.
Yeah, it's fun. This is the first time I'd ever played it. It was super fun.
Nice.
I played a lot of I did a lot of just talking and watching stuff. I found out that they have like fan-made fan film horror movies on YouTube for free. Some short films too. So I watched a lot of those just consecutive, like for 3 hours one day. The first day, watched those consecutively, and it was super fun.
Cool.
My voice is going away a little bit from it, so I'm sorry if I don't talk a lot.
That's okay. Yeah, who needs to talk on the podcast anyway? So
no.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I've just been doing my normal stuff. Final Fantasy XIV a lot. I've been like sucked into Diablo Immortal. I've been playing that so much lately.
I've not played it yet.
It's fun. I see a lot of people complaining, but I spent $1 and that was unnecessary. So I don't see it yet, but I'm having fun with that. And I've almost got my Black Mage to 60 on 14. And I need someone to come and make me play Final Fantasy VI again. Because I need to finish that game.
Man, it's ridiculous.
I know.
I can't believe it.
Anyway, we can talk about that all we want, but we got to get into this because I think we all know what we're going to be talking about this week. and that is the new track on Chocobo Racing, Balam Garden. Have you had a chance to check it out yet?
I didn't even know that was happening.
Well, it is, but that was a joke because we're obviously talking about Final Fantasy XVI. The new trailer debuted at the PlayStation State of Play last week, and we kind of anticipated it. We were kind of on the fence, I guess, but I was happy to see it. I was hoping they would open with it, and when they didn't, I knew they're either going to finish with it or we're not getting it this time. So we did eventually get it at the very end. And before we get into that, though, let me just real quick about the State of Play. I thought it'd be okay to just throw it on in the living room and just watch it. And I have a young child. Then I just thought, oh, it's just video games. They opened with I think 4 back-to-back zombie games.
Yeah, Resident Evil 4, and then
yeah,
Resident Evil 8.
Like, well, okay, maybe I should turn this off.
Yeah, that wasn't lucky.
I was like, okay, well, it's just this is one of those probably approved for all audiences. It got a little graphic for my toddler.
Even the Nintendo Directs get a little graphic sometimes.
So I was like, well, anyway,
it was pretty decent Direct.
It was okay. It wasn't my favorite one, with the exception of Final Fantasy at the end. But the second Yoshi P came on and did his little address, I was just glued to the TV.
Well,
I was sold.
I was terrified because Nintendo did that one time with whoever's in charge of Breath of the Wild 2.
Okay.
He came on one time and said, I know you all are eager to hear about Breath of the Wild 2, but we're not ready to show anything at this time. So as soon as I saw him, I thought they're just going to do the same thing. He's going to say we don't have anything to show at this time. I was so scared.
That doesn't track with what we know about Yoshi P, though.
Well, this was gut reactions. Honestly, I didn't even recognize him as Yoshi P at first. I was like, oh god.
I don't know. It's just he's been very, we know how upfront he is about stuff and when stuff's not going good, and I don't know. I was excited, and then of course the trailer came on, and we got to see a lot of new stuff. A lot. Was there anything that we'd seen before? I guess a couple shots. Like we saw an updated shot of Shiva, for sure, because I've seen side by side comparisons. But I guess let's just get into it. What was your first impressions seeing the trailer?
I loved it. I think it looks so fresh and new, and it hardly looks like Final Fantasy. At the same time, it looks exactly like Final Fantasy.
I think it looks very Final Fantasy.
It looks.
I don't know.
It looks like it's familiar to Final Fantasy, but in the themes and what it looks like, but what it looks like it plays like looks nothing like Final Fantasy.
But at the same time, I think it looks similar to Stranger of Paradise.
Yeah,
like the playstyle.
It did.
Which is Final Fantasy to me now,
okay. It did. But it just looks like it's got that mature feeling that's outside of the realm. I'm not really considering Stranger of Paradise. That's the newest one, a spin-off game, so it doesn't really count in my mind. So it just feels like something. It just feels like something totally disconnected at the same time, like 15 did. Something new but familiar, and it was so great.
I don't know. Can we really say new? Because this will be the 4th game. Because I've seen a lot of talk going back and forth on Twitter, and I'm sure you have too, about turn-based versus action combat. But this will be the 4th Final Fantasy game in a row that leans into the action combat. So at this point, I think it's safe to say that this is just the direction that the franchise is going in.
It's still different because action combat is open-ended, and this looks a lot more involved. 15 was fun. I loved its gameplay, but it wasn't. It was more watch the action happen and input commands when you need to, kind of thing.
Well, to that point, this one does look very action heavy, and I think it'll play more like Stranger of Paradise,
which it needs to, kind of, I think, because Square Enix is doing their own thing with turn-based games, and they're still making them. They've left it from Final Fantasy, and it's fine.
What I was going to say though is the trailer does look like it has some very cinematic moments in the combat, so there may also be a little bit of like what you said with like 15, or waiting for something to happen or inputting some quick time event commands, because some of the stuff that I saw doesn't look like it looks like the middle of a fight, but not necessarily gameplay, as in like a cutscene in the middle of a fight or transition phases or stuff like that. So we'll just have to see how that plays out, I guess. But one thing I did notice, the UI looks kind of familiar, because if you notice in the upper left-hand corner, it has the Final Fantasy XIV style like limit gauge. Did you happen to notice that?
I did see that. I did see that. It looked good.
Yeah, so I don't know if they're going with a similar limit break system or if that's something else. It's just that totally stood out to me because I was like, "Hey, I recognize those 3 little yellow bars. I save them
It
for the healer
the
usually."
the UI looks like it's set up for a fighting game almost,
Almost, yeah,
and it's
especially
and
during, like, the icon what look like
yeah,
icon battles.
and that's where I'm going with where it feels so different, which it
Mhm,
should. I mean, to the fault, it worked throughout the years, but if Final Fantasy still did what they did, where every game felt so similar, I don't think it'd work nearly as well as it did before. Just how gamers are
yeah,
now. So the fact that it feels so, I mean, you kind of got to compare it from 15 to 16, because while there have been other games, it's
mhm,
just like Kingdom Hearts. There are people who went Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, 3 and did not play any of the spinoffs. I mean, there are people who are only going to buy this because it's a numbered Kingdom Hearts game or Final Fantasy game.
Final
And
Fantasy, yeah.
it looks like it's being set up to be familiar to what people remember playing, and obviously familiar in theme. There's going to be a Cid, probably recognizable enemies, and it looks like it just plays. They might play uniquely, and
Oh, yeah.
whether it's good or bad, I think that's a good thing.
Well, we've talked about this before, and per your point, the early Final Fantasy games all were very kind of similar. But one thing, if the one thing that's actually been consistent through Final Fantasy's history is the fact that it's not consistent. They
Hmm.
redevelop their battle system every time. Like even when they're still on ATB or even when they're still doing turn based, there's something about the battle system that they change every single game. And that's especially apparent since like what, 7? Ever since 7, the systems have just not really been the same. Like 7, 8, 9, sure, all ATB, but Materia versus Junction system, that's totally different. Then you go back to turn based for 10, MMO for 11, whatever 12 was, like offline MMO. 13 goes back to like an ATB kind of system, right? Was that 13? Or was that 13 too? Anyway, but like the one thing that's been consistent is that it's been changing since the 90s. So every time I see this like discussion online about, oh, I miss turn based, well, it's not okay.
I
That's been
think
gone a long
what
time.
what they're mad about is the fact that it changed back then, but it still had the same core gameplay, but the systems changed. Do you know what I
Mm,
mean?
I
Like
guess,
the system,
sure.
especially from 4 to 9, really, the gameplay was still ATB turn-based combat, but the
Mhm.
systems of what you did with that was different. Like
Well, I mean
outside
that
in the menuing almost.
that kind of changed in 15 though.
Yeah, I
Like
mean
that
that
we already
changed.
jumped off that boat.
Yeah,
Like this isn't
that
yeah. It's
that's
not
what.
like this is the first one.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. By the way, I just think
What?
I think that's just how they think.
No,
Because
I mean I see what you're
I
saying, but
liked the ATB, but I mean, if it were ATB, that'd be cool. I don't care.
mm,
If it's not
yeah.
ATB, it's cool. I don't care.
I actually really liked what they did with 7 Remake and how they incorporated the ATB into the action of that. I thought
Mhm.
that was a great blend of the two systems. And that one they were kind of, I think, forced to use ATB because of the nostalgia factor. They wanted to make it as similar but different as they could from the original Final Fantasy VII. So when you got this brand new 16, this is where I think it's time to take your risks. I mean, it's the brand new numbered, like you said, people are going to buy it just because
Yeah,
it's 16. But this is, I think, what makes Final Fantasy have the longevity it does is their, willingness to experiment and step outside the
I
box,
and I don't even think
and their
this is the
ability to keep things familiar at the same time.
and I don't even think this is the time for them to take risks. I think they already have. Like I think 15 was a bigger
Yeah.
risk than this because not only did 15 go to the more action based,
Hmm.
but it didn't do medieval or futuristic. It just did
Yeah.
modern day, like flat out. I think
Yeah.
8 was the only other one to be kind of modern day, but even then, 8 had some Steam stuff in it still.
Well, yeah. 8 even was more futuristic-y than
Yeah,
modern
but
even, but it did have, you're right, especially with some of the sections with there, it was more of a modern
yeah,
feeling. Yeah, I think you're right, but
15 was just it was so and that's one thing I
yeah.
love about 15 is how much it like pokes off into the series. Like it sticks out so much because of that. And I mean, I am a fan. I do like the medieval games better. So this return to that, to the
Mhm.
castles, to that everything, I am all for. I mean, I teared up during my reaction to the trailer a little bit because I was just so happy to see. I said it. I said this is new. This is not a remake. This is not something we already know. This is like I don't know
Yeah.
how this story is gonna go. This is new, and I was like, it's so like nostalgic at the same time somehow,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's
Well,
perfect way to put it. I think.
that's what Final Fantasy does, I feel like. Every time I get a new numbered Final Fantasy, it feels new but nostalgic.
Hmm.
I mean, I remember Final Fantasy X felt that way just because it was so new and shiny, but you still run into the same enemies. It still has, even though they changed so much about the core gameplay, they somehow managed to keep the heart, like the heart of the crystal, at the burning at the center of these.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, and to me, that's what Final Fantasy is. That soul crystal, for you know what I mean, like Final Fantasy 14 terminology there, but that's what makes it a Final Fantasy game to me, more than the systems, more than the way the battles flow. And this, I think, definitely has that soul. I see it in the trailer. I see it in the stills that they've released, and it looks if you watched it muted and heard no sound, you'd be able to say that's a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, I think so.
You know, so, and I mean, they're putting the summons, the icons back in the forefront. I mean, they've always played some kind of huge role in the games, but I do like the idea of the story centered so much around uh, uh, these awesome summons, and they're also the consistent summons. I like seeing, the ones that we know, as opposed to like 10, where we kind of had all new ones,
Hmm.
or 12. And those are fine, but I like seeing like the classic ones too. So
Yeah, it's doing a lot of what 15 did. It looks like where they're like
yeah.
deities and they're
Well,
giant.
yes, but I think that we're going to be more in direct control of them than we
Yeah,
were in
I'm
15.
talking
It
more.
looks like
Talking more so narratively, but like in
yeah,
terms of gameplay, you're absolutely. It looks like you have kaiju battles with,
it does,
and
and
it
I
looks
hope that
awesome.
that's something you control
It
and
looks like
not
it. He
like
had a health bar.
I know. So that could be so much fun.
Well, the way it looks
I
like it makes it look like the characters are the icons. So maybe they
well,
transform.
so that was my understanding from the trailer, is that because it mentions, if you listen to the narration at the beginning, about being a dominant, and then it like peels away at us and to release their true potential. So my understanding is that dominants are people that have, I guess, the essence of one of these icons within them and can somehow unleash their power, transforming into them. That was my interpretation. Because there's that one guy that says, if I take the field, but something cooler than what I was getting ready to remember. And then it kind of cuts to Titan kind of destroying people in the field. So that was my interpretation, is that the dominants, yes, are the people that become them. And then there's also I the little kid, I can't remember his name, like Clive's little brother or something like that. Or was he I don't remember. I have to go back and look at the website. But he kind of like screams up into the air and it looks like he's turning into Phoenix. And even when it introduces Phoenix, it re-shows that scene in this most recent trailer.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I
I
think you're
think you're
hitting it
right.
on the nose there. I think that's exactly what
Yeah.
it is.
My question is, can they turn back, or if once they're released, is that it?
I'm sure they can. If they have a gameplay segment where you can play as them, I'm sure they can come back. Like I'm sure it's gonna work as some kind of like maybe not limit break, but like story.
Maybe.
Kind of like it worked in 15 maybe, where it happens not randomly, but like you know how at the end of 15 when you fought Ifrit, it made you use
Yeah.
Shiva or something.
Yeah, you know what I didn't
Situations
like
like
about
that.
Final Fantasy 15 and it being random though is I don't think I ever got a summon. Because I
See,
checked and I didn't have that trophy.
I got Ramu like 17 times and no one else.
I
I
don't
just got
know. I don't
Ramu
know.
over and over and over. It was so weird. But
Yeah.
it's not really easy to tell how they're gonna do it.
Yeah.
But it definitely looks interesting and it looks fantastic. Like
I think you're right though. Yeah.
everything about it just looks like an interesting game, which is fresh.
Yeah.
Like nothing about it looks like nothing about it looks corny. The graphics look great. The dialogue was fantastic. You can tell like I'm not one to partake in dogging on Nomura, but you can tell Yoshi P is working on this one. You can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, speaking of the dialogue, man, that Emperor is he's cold-blooded, isn't he? For every civilian that falls, more can be bred. Jesus, dude, chill out.
That's some rated M stuff right there. I'm telling
No
you.
kidding. Now, speaking of being bred, it looked like there was a sex scene.
No, I know. I made that's in our reaction. Have you watched? So I posted my reaction to
I
the
haven't
thing on
had
our
a chance
YouTube,
to, but I did see you posted it.
and I posted a TikTok of that scene in particular too, because I
Yeah.
was freaking out, and then it happened, and I was like, "Sex."
Yeah, we saw two backs, okay?
Yeah,
I've seen so much
two-
reaction to that
two
one
naked
scene, and I'm like,
backs.
it's just two people's backs. Chill out, people.
I doubt
Whoa.
it's gonna show anything, but it might have
It's
some heavy implications.
well, there's always been heavy implications, like Tifa and Cloud under the Highwind. I mean, the implications have been there forever, okay? I mean, these are always T-rated games. Now, this one I think might push the M rating, but we'll have to see. I don't know.
They might just
It
lean to
would.
that direction for Final Fantasy from now on and let 14 be the T-rated fantasy that everyone's used to.
I don't know. I don't see them going that route. I do think that Stranger of Paradise was them testing the waters for an M-rated game.
This one might push that. But
Yeah,
I don't know about
I don't know.
forever. See, this one,
We'll see.
we need more information, obviously, but this one looks like it is being set up for a very violent Game of Thrones-like setting.
It does.
And not being
Yeah.
rated M might hold it back, but again, I can't say that yet because I need more. I need to see more.
Yeah.
It
Yeah, I don't
could end
know.
up being kind of like how, I can't think of the game. There's some shooter or something that was rated T when it should have been M that
Mm.
got held back big time from it.
Well, I can't really think of too much in a narrative standpoint that wouldn't push this to be an M-rated game. And I think that they could pull off still kind of a heavy, even Game of Thrones related story, keeping it T. Because I think the M usually, I mean, because if you look at the M rating for Stranger of Paradise, it's because it's bloody and or kind of, I guess, is that blood or crystal crystal goop. But like it's and more violent in the gameplay. This still seems like it kind of has that flashy 14 or just Final Fantasy gameplay. So I think if they do manage to keep the T rating, it'll be like pushing what the T rating is. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like it'll be one of those
Well,
that's like this
either
could have been on
way,
the
I'm pretty
fence.
sure they make the game and then get the rating anyway. I don't think they try to make the game in the confines of a rating.
Well, I mean,
I think that's how that works.
technically it is. I mean, a game gets made and then it gets rated, but you know, obviously there are people that shoot for certain ratings, and they do the same thing with movies. I mean, because you know you have a better chance with box office with a PG-13 than an R-rated movie. So there are scenes that get cut from movies to keep the PG-13 rating, and I'm sure that happens with games too. But yeah, in this case, I don't think necessarily they're as concerned about that. I wouldn't imagine. But it's definitely something that they keep in their mind because it all goes back to sales, you know,
Yeah.
sales and all that stuff. But man, we got a release date too, summer 2023. So we I guess got it right because we were both
Well,
saying
do you have a prediction?
likely next year.
Do you have a prediction? Do you think that will get pushed back, or do you think that's going to stay as it is?
Well, I think we'll see summer. I think it'll be late summer though. I'm thinking like August.
Okay.
August, September. We're not going to see it like June or anything, I don't think. But I do think we'll see it later in the summer. I don't, as long as we don't have any more giant setbacks, you know, COVID wave 12 or anything, I think they might be able to do it. The game, from what we've understood, is relatively close to being finished from what all the leaks and things have said. The trailer looked very polished. I thought the gameplay and the graphics looked even the graphics looked improved from the previous trailer. So yeah, given another year, I think we could get that game out. Not we,
Okay.
of course. I'm not working on it.
Yeah, we'll pump that out.
I got this, man.
we got this. I think I
What about
agree.
you?
Actually, I think I agree.
Okay.
Actually, normally I think I would say it'd be push it back because that's the nature of games is to always get delayed. Especially if it's like nowadays, it feels like every game gets delayed almost. But as like you said, we have gotten leaks and insider information that it's very far from done, and the fact that it's supposedly not far from done, supposedly so close to done, and we got a lot of information, but we still don't have like a gameplay trailer or anything. And the fact that we still have so much more information to go kind of shows me a little bit maybe that either A, the leaks are wrong and they're not as close to done as they say, which would mean a delay, or B,
Mm.
I had a thought and I'm having the worst time trying to just let. Basically, I'll say I think it's going to come out in summer, and for some reason, I think the trailer not showing us more is a good hint of that. I'm having a hard time
Well,
wording that, but it's just trust me.
that's all marketing. I mean, what they want to do is
Yeah,
they want to
maybe.
drip feed you information
Yeah,
because that way you keep thinking about it from now until. Because if they gave us everything now and then waited a year and just released it, everybody would have forgotten about it.
absolutely.
They want to keep drip feeding. They'll show us another one towards the end of the year at another state of play or something here or something there, and that's just how it works. You know, it's like, I mean, things are getting teaser trailers for teasers nowadays. You know what I mean? Like, I can't remember how many times I've seen like trailer coming on Friday. It's like I have a trailer for the trailer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
And I've
weird.
seen trailer announcement coming tomorrow. So that's a trailer for the trailer of the trailer. And it's like, oh my God. And all of that is to make sure it stays on your mind. So yeah, I think that them not showing us too much is intentional. And I'm expecting we'll get one of those longer state of plays probably early 2023 where they do what they did with like Ratchet and Clank and they actually show us like
Well,
30 minutes of someone playing through the first couple minutes
we
or
do
whatever.
have that Summer Games Fest coming up. Do you think there will
I
be
think that's too
anything?
soon.
You think that's too soon? Well, see, I would agree with you, but we went from knowing nothing about the new Sonic game, and with the span of a week, we've gotten 3 trailers.
Well, when is that? When is that coming out though?
It just says 2022. It doesn't say, but
Okay,
it's
so
like
that's still this
it's
year.
also Sonic, so they're probably rushing it to make a bad game.
I
But
wouldn't be surprised if we get a little bit more at Summer Games Fest, but I don't think we're going to get one of those like
so
big gameplay trailers.
you
I
think
don't think
that's
we'll get that
it?
yet.
So you think that's it for 16? Think there's anything else Final Fantasy related that could be there? Maybe something
Well,
along the lines of a remake of a certain.
no, I don't know. If anything, I think we'll get Ever Crisis news because that still supposedly has a release date of this year. I do not see Remake Part 2 coming out this year.
Oh, I'm
And
at
if we
9
get
remake.
that.
I wasn't even caring about 7. I wasn't even thinking about that.
Well, let me finish what I was saying. I do think we might get some Ever Crisis news. I don't foresee 7 Remake Part 2 coming out probably till 2024, if you ask me. So I don't expect to see anything. And that whole 9 remake thing is all just so rumor and hearsay. So
I'd
I
love
don't
it
know.
if it were true. You think anything for Kingdom Hearts 4?
That's a good question. I'm gonna say no because do we have a release window on that? Did they give us a year?
God, no.
Yeah, that's way too soon. I think that trailer we got is all we're gonna have on
I have
4 for
absolutely
a while.
no faith in that game coming
I
out
think
in the
that's all
next
we're gonna have
5
for a while.
years.
I know,
I have
right?
no faith in that.
Yeah.
So
we might. I mean, it is an anniversary for Kingdom Hearts, right? We might. I wouldn't be surprised if we got another like
game.
side game in between here and there. I wouldn't be surprised. Now, from what I've heard, there's supposedly some other Final Fantasy projects that we're going to be because this is what is the anniversary year for this?
Final
30,
Fantasy
35 or
I
this is an
wouldn't.
anniversary year for them too.
It wouldn't surprise me because Final Fantasy is entering it's never lost a lot of popularity, but it seems like since like the end of Shadowbringers and Endwalker, Final
Mhm.
Fantasy as a franchise is in a renaissance of
Yeah,
of
for
like
sure.
popularity. So it would not surprise me if they're going to try to pump as much content as they can. And also, weren't we
Mhm.
supposed to get information on the Final Fantasy IX TV show? It was all over Twitter
Yes.
that we were going to get that this week.
Well,
and it would never happen.
that was what I was asking you for clarification on because yeah, that's all I heard. But what I had heard was it was being debuted, not that we would see it. My interpretation was that someone saw it, like they had a pilot ready and they presented it to somebody, not like released to the public.
I can't
So
believe there's no
I don't
screenshots or
know.
anything.
You can't believe there's what? Not a leak.
No screenshots or anything of it.
Oh, so maybe it didn't happen. I
Mm.
did. I that came and went, and we never saw anything on that. So
Yeah, that just
don't know.
occurred to me. That just like crossed my mind. That was weird. I
Yeah.
was thinking, where is that? Listen, if there's more Final Fantasy IX content, oh my god, I'm gonna love that.
Yeah, we haven't really. They haven't done anything with 9 since
The
it
game
came out. I mean, I guess 8 and
Dissidia.
9. 8 and 9 are, they both kind of got left behind. 7 constantly gets new
Well, I
content.
mean,
At
they
least 10 got a sequel.
to be honest,
So,
nowadays, if you're not 7, you just are one and done kind of thing.
or 10 or 13.
Well, nowadays, yeah, 10 and 13 got there, but
Yeah.
13 was like the prototype for 15's DLC. Because it's like at that time they were like, no, we
Mm.
can't make DLC for the game. We got to make a whole other game. And then they were like, that was a lot of work and no one bought it. So let's just make DLC. And then
Well,
they were
here's the
like,
thing.
maybe we should just release a complete game when it launches.
At least 13 got to finish its stuff instead of having its final
Which
DLCs canceled.
still makes me mad, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah,
Still
that was
makes,
kinda crappy.
because that complete version of that story is great. I mean, I can understand the argument
Yeah.
that when you play it originally, it's got a lot of holes and doesn't make a lot of sense. But if you put all that crap together, it was coming together and it was awesome. And
I need to replay the Royal Edition because I'm one of those people that I thought it was lacking some stuff, and I still played it when it had the bugs. And I mean, you remember what I was talking about with the audio bug at the end at the big reveal?
yeah,
And
that's
so I couldn't even understand it. So I really, when I do give that game another shot, which I will eventually, I'm gonna play the Royal Edition and do some of the DLC because I think it'll help my appreciation for the game. I really
yeah.
do. Because I like the world. I love Kingsglaive the movie, and maybe I'll have to do more side quests so I don't go into that last level appropriately leveled and just can stomp everything like you
Yeah.
did.
It was fun. It was a good time. I love that game.
But yeah, so Final Fantasy related coming up in the summer. I actually hope we get something from Ever Crisis because over the past 70 episodes, I have completely changed who I am as a person on a fundamental level. I game on my phone all the time now. Okay. I went from saying on record on this show, this is not for me, this is not how I game, to playing 5.5 pixel remasters, playing Diablo Immortal every day, playing Pokemon Unite on my phone. Like, oh, and I downloaded, I haven't started it yet, but I got Chrono Trigger for my phone too. So that's going to be what I dive into after I finish 6.
You get a backbone.
A backbone.
Yeah, it's that you put your phone in it and turns it into a controller or something.
Oh, maybe. But yeah, I totally switched my entire personality there, which means I'm now super excited for Ever Crisis. So I can't wait for it. And if we're not going to get another like handheld PlayStation or something like that, then I'm fine with things coming to my phone because or Switch, one of the two. But man, that'd be cool. Another Vita, but done right this time. Or sorry, I think they did it right, just marketed right. But
Who knows?
anyway,
Who
man,
knows? I think it's hard to release. I think everyone's done with releasing handhelds. I think everyone's just gonna make mobile games now,
I do too. And that's what I'm kind of saying is
except for
I
Nintendo. They'll.
I think it's time. Well, yeah, I think it's time to embrace it. And just this is the new reality. Just move on. And
Hey,
I have
fun.
Well,
I'm not gonna do it. I hate playing games on my phone. I hate
that's
my
dude.
thumb
That's
gets
what
so
I said too.
my thumb gets. I mean, I have tried it and I have done it. My thumb gets so sweaty that like it'll start like grazing across the screen so slowly, and it's just I hate it. I mean, I feel like I am like, ugh, can't stand
You're
it.
making me you're making me sick.
I know it sucks.
No, I was in the same boat and just really not liking it. And something about the pixel remasters, and I think that gaming has come a long way on our phones. And I think if we get good quality games for the phone, that's what I want. Now, you can be there's a lot to be said about the mobile model, and I think that's the biggest thing that holds it back. But the technology's come quite a long ways, and the newer games like Pokemon Unite, like Diablo Immortal, they play really well, and I think the Pixel remasters play really well on my phone. So anyway, that's a little off topic. Let's get back to Final Fantasy 16. Did you have anything else that kind of stood out for you
Not
that
really.
you really
It
liked?
just looks
Okay.
fantastic. It just looks fantastic.
Yeah. I did think the visuals looked very Final Fantasy 14-y, which I'm saying is a very like positive thing, like the art style. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like the character models and stuff. I thought looked they kind of had that kind of flair to it, and I love that. I mean, I love that art style. I love how that looks. And you know me, I've always kind of liked the realistic looking ones. That's why I like Final Fantasy VIII and all those, and the ones that have the less realistic looking character models like 9 and like World of Final Fantasy just aren't my cup of tea. But yeah, I'm digging it.
Gotta look
I am
gritty.
I am digging it. Yeah, I like the
Gotta
gritty.
have dirt on my face.
Hey, there is one scene where Clive is like kind of leaned back against like the railing. He's talking to somebody and like the moon's in the background. You know what I'm talking about? It's early in the trailer.
Yes.
He looks a lot like Squall there. I'm
He
just
looks
throwing that out
exactly
there.
like Squall there, and I was
I'm
like,
just
I saw
throwing that
that,
out
and I
there.
was like, God, this is Final Fantasy VIII remake. What the heck?
I was like,
I
okay,
was
well,
like,
hey, 8 times 2 is 16. There you go.
I guess you got a point. Okay.
I'm just saying.
It's
Just saying.
definitely something.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh, yes. But okay, you know what else my second thought was? My first thought was, oh, he looks like Squall. I love that. My second thought was, I cannot wait until that outfit hits the Mog station so I can get it on Final Fantasy
Oh, it's
14.
coming.
Okay,
You
yeah.
know it's coming.
Because they keep doing that. Like you can get Tidus, you can get Squall, Cloud. They just put Lise. You can get hers in there now. You can get Yuna. So Noctis they put in. So yeah, I'm thinking around launch time, they'll definitely either do some kind of collaboration, especially with Yoshi P being involved in both, or they'll just give us some optional Mog Station items, and I'm so there for that. I cannot wait. If it doesn't happen, I'm gonna be really sad.
Hey, it'll happen. They'll do anything to take your money.
Yeah, yeah, and they'll get it. They'll get it for cool stuff like that. I won't buy just anything, but I'll buy stuff that's cool like that. I'm not above to dropping a couple dollars on something I really like. So
Hey man, I tell you what, as long as it's cosmetic, put it on the store. Who cares? But if it's like this gear has 100% damage buff on it, then I'd be like,
14's never gonna go that route.
I don't
I
think
mean,
anything will, except
yeah,
for mobile games.
yeah, right. And not all of them do that either, but yeah, I mean that's where you find that kind of stuff. It's not going to be in 14. I do like they do weapons and stuff on the 14 store, but they're all level 1 glamour only stuff. You know what I mean? So, and they only
Yeah,
have a couple, but they have like a Final Fantasy 13 series where you can get some of those. I really like the one. It was like Lightning's crossbow. I almost picked it up for my bard, but it didn't really match my glamour, so I didn't.
Lightning's crossbow.
Yeah, it's from like maybe Lightning Returns, I think.
He had a crossbow.
I think it was Lightning's crossbow. It's a cool looking crossbow. I think it was from I'd say I never played 13.2 or 3. If they would remaster those games, I definitely would. I don't know why they're sitting on that. Just port them to PS4. That's all I'm asking you to do. It can't be that hard. But no, actually even better. The revamped PlayStation Plus, PlayStation Now thing is coming out like next week. Throw it on there. It used to be on PlayStation Now anyway. Just let me try 13 again. I don't know what their holdup is.
Isn't it? Is this so? It's on Game Pass.
Is it on Game Pass?
I think. I don't know. I remember hearing something about it.
You might be right. I mean, PlayStation Now has recently added almost all the others. I think they've got 7, 8, 9, 10, and 12 on there now. Just not 13.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand. I don't understand at all why they don't just like I don't know. I don't have an answer. So speculating isn't going to help us.
Yeah.
But well, man, what else? You got anything else you want to say or?
No, that's it for
That
me. That's it
All
for
right.
me.
Yep. I think that's it for me too. I just like you said. I mean, it was only like a 2.5 minute trailer, but it has really
That had a
stoked
lot.
me to play it. It did. It had quite a bit in it, and I can't wait. I can't wait to get more. I really can't. And hopefully, we won't have to wait too long. But I think it'll be a while before we see any major information. What I do hope though is they update their website or something, and just drop some more information there because they had some really interesting stuff on their website that kind of dove deeper into the different city states and things like that. And if you go back to like one of our very early episodes, maybe even our first one, we were talking about that. So an update to that site just with some more background information, that'd be kind of nice. So I'll keep my eye on that, and if they do, we'll go over some of that.
Alrighty.
All right, man. Well, if that's it, that's it. Where can we find you?
Soloist TV everywhere.
And streaming on Twitch constantly, going for the new record of never stopping.
Absolutely not. No.
All right. Well, you can find me at Wolfkins on Twitter. And you can also follow my blog if you want at wolfkins.com. I just wrote a write-up of the state of play, just kind of going over some of my highlights and what I liked about that, a little bit on Final Fantasy XVI there as well. Or you can follow the show at Highwind Herald on Twitter, or go to highwindherald.com where we have all of our past episodes and show notes. So that'll be it for me, man. I'm going to keep my eye out. Hopefully we'll get some more, and can't wait for those glamours to hit 14. Oh, really quick, I've got my my plot in again. I'm waiting on my lottery to win a house, and when I put it in, there were 8 people, and when I checked it yesterday, there were 32. So my odds are crashing. But fingers crossed. I'll find out on Thursday. So,
oh boy.
Anyway, we might have a happy update next week, maybe a sad one, but we'll see. Anyway, it's been good talking to you, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, peace out.